Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be looking at the newly released Tier 5 Premium British Battleship, Agincourt. To begin, I have got one word to describe this ship: astounding. It has got some very prominent bad points, which we will cover whilst going over the stats, but don't let them fool you, as this ship is quite frankly incredible. To give you some reference, it has probably been a year since I've had this much fun in a ship, so this is something that I'm going to be playing for a long time, and I'm just generally really happy to be able to cover it for you all today. I'll first cover some stats and playstyle, since if you are considering buying containers for the chance to get this ship, or if you're watching this in the future and it's in the premium store, then that's probably going to be more important for you. Then afterwards I'll show some gameplay, and as well as that it will showcase my captain's skills and build. The most important part of Agincourt is the huge array of main and secondary batteries. Starting off, you have the potential to fire a 14 gun salute, which is no small feat, but you'll need to set your expectations quite low unfortunately, since a sigma of 1.5 and rather wide horizontal dispersion will almost certainly make a good portion of your shots miss, especially if you're unlucky. With that inaccuracy in mind, although you have got a relatively short 15.3 km firing range, when you are aiming at ships at that extent, you really won't be able to do all that much still, especially if you're using armour-piercing rounds, as they are just generally very unreliable. Instead, I would advise that if you do use them, then you're going to be wanting to use those at close quarters when you're going to be brawling with other battleships. This is because they are going to be at a range that's really, there's just very little chance of you missing, and you'll need AP loaded for those brawling engagements. Although those points sound pretty awful, and you are probably wondering why on earth you'd want to punish yourself by playing this, it does get better. Much better. The high explosive shells are the real performers here, as it is pretty much unanimous that it's the shell that you should use the majority of the time. Since you are not going to be hitting many shells at range, HE's got your back. Out of the 14 shells, a few may hit, cause little alpha damage, but the main thing is that's going to set fires. And that's going to be a lot of fires. Sitting at a base of 31% fire chance, I have already seen it being referred to as the Tier 5 Thunder or Conqueror, and honestly I would have to agree. Some of the games I've already come out with more than 15 fires, so it really is a great fire starter. Most of these points have been regarding long range shots. Now we're getting into close quarters, where Agincourt quite simply excels. Something this inaccurate you would not think would be able to deal with the destroyers. Quite to the contrary actually, and this is only with the main batteries we're talking about here. Due to the flurry of stray shells from your dispersion, regardless of which direction they turn, you will probably hit them and in many cases devastate them. Another thing to consider is there is a very long reload time of 36 seconds for these guns. However, if you are sporting a full secondary build, which I would recommend, and you are engaging in a brawl with another battleship, close quarters combat will bring that down to a more manageable 32.4 seconds, and that's without taking Adrenaline Rush into consideration, so brawling is certainly where it perform the best. And the thing is, that doesn't even have to be a battleship, that's just a fact of if anything comes within your secondary battery range, so if that is the case then you're going to basically be benefiting for a good portion of the match. Moving on to countering cruisers, with 76mm of penetration, there will be quite a few occasions where you will be able to citadel them with high explosive, so it really is the ammo of choice. Finally, with other battleships, it really is just a fact of igniting them, and a continuous harassment will wear them down over time. With the main batteries covered, what we can take from this already is Agincourt is best suited for close to medium range engagements. This is perfect, as that's where your secondaries can begin their onslaught and will help you bloat your damage scores immensely. When Agincourt was first announced, I was delighted to see it had so many secondary batteries, and then they decided to buff them on numerous occasions. You've got an astonishing 20 152mm guns, so that is 10 on each side respectively, and with a full secondary build you can get them firing up to a range of 8.3 km. Every 3.4 seconds, which at that caliber and rate of fire is ideal for damaging lightly armoured well, not even cruisers, just generally lightly armoured targets, and then you can also set anything ablaze because they hit with a 12% fire chance. The thing is, they don't stop there. You also have another 10 76mm guns, so 5 on each side, and they have got the same range, and fire every 2.3 seconds. As I said to begin, this ship is a secondary monster that can happily compete against adversaries at tier 6 and 7 with ease. Now, although the firing range is rather short, the concealment range is even shorter. Sitting at a base of an already great 11.8 kilometers, taking the Concealment Expert skill will reduce that down to 10.7, which is getting into the ranges of some cruisers. The one problem with taking Concealment Expert, however, is that if you are sporting a full secondary build, it may be more beneficial to pick up something like Fire Prevention or Emergency Repair Expert, since these skills will be far more useful for how you're going to be playing, and 11.8 kilometers is still a very admirable spotting range for its tier. In terms of armour and HP, it's very good there too. HP wise, it is on the higher end of the spectrum for tier 5 battleships, so it is not at a disadvantage there, and as for armour, it's perfectly adequate in this department too. For the bow, it is harder to overmatch than some of the other tier 5 battleships, since near the waterline there's a nice section of 102mm plating which covers the citadel behind, so the only way that something could get through that and maybe hit your citadel would be via plunging fire, but apart from that, it's overall very good. As for the armour belt on the side, it's pretty decent there too. It's not as thick as its text-free counterpart Iron Duke, where the waterline sits at 305mm, but honestly, if you're angling well enough, you shouldn't have too many issues. Moving on, speed and manoeuvrability are two areas in which Agincourt falters. With the Sierra Mike signal, you can hit a top speed of 23.1 knots, but even that's sluggish, only beating Oklahoma's 20.7 using the signal too. Out of anything, I'd probably say this is what will impact some of your games the most, since you will find yourself not really doing anything for large parts of the game, as it will take you quite a while just to generally get around the map. It does have a pretty decent turning circle of 670 meters, so you don't need much room to maneuver, but in terms of torpedo dodging, that will be a little hard due to the rudder shift time of 13.4 seconds. Now we move on to maybe the most controversial part of the ship, the anti-air. Or should I say lack of it. Sometimes you can describe a ship by metaphorically saying it has no AA. In Agincourt's case, this is a literal statement. Agincourt has got no anti-air, and this can make for some not so fun times. I'm gonna be honest here, if you do get into a game with carriers, and if they focus you down, it just won't be fun. Your best bet would just be to stick with a cluster or even just another single ship, and pray that they don't get sunk, because they are going to be your only way of warding off aircraft. So if you have a seething hatred for carriers and you don't have good experiences with them, then this ship may not be for you. With the stats covered, for a general playstyle, it is just generally a very aggressive brawler. To stay alive for longer, I'd say, well, this is more something you should aim for with any engagement, but you'll find success by segregating ships to one-on-one engagements. Try to get them as close as possible, unless they have torpedoes, then of course be wary of that, and generally just have a good time brawling. Predominantly, you are going to want to use high explosive shells, burn your enemies down at range, and then shred them once they get close. Now with all that covered, we will hop into a game and show you how it's like to play in battle. Okay, here we are in battle. Now before I start concentrating on actually playing in the game, I've just gone on autopilot, I'll quickly run through what build I'm going for and then just sort of talk through. So if you're looking for a build, then you can take some inspiration from this. So I'm currently running a full secondary build using a 14-point commander, but I am aiming to get a full 21 points just so then that'll allow me to be a little bit more effective. So for the secondary build that I'm using, we're going to start off with the upgrades. So I've gone for Auxiliary Armaments Modification 1, since I'm going to be heavily relying on my secondary batteries, and since there's a lot of HE spam, that's going to just generally help them to survive. Next up, we've got Damage Control System Modification 1 for the second place, and then in third we've got Secondary Battery Modification 1, just because this gives you a 20% increase in range and a 20% decrease in dispersion, which is pretty great for firing at range. Now, as for the 14 captain points that I've gone for Gun Feeder, which, you know, it's such a long reload. If you want to change shell types, say for example you're doing a brawl, then that is going to really help. Grease the Gears, long range secondary batteries for the 20% range boost, improved secondary battery aiming for the improved dispersion, and then close quarters combat to increase the rate of fire of both the main and secondary battery armaments. Now if I was running a full 21 pointer, then I'd also go for Adrenaline Rush and Emergency Repair Specialist, since that will help just to stay alive longer, and I'll also fire a bit more. Now I'm going to quickly fire on this Nicholas over here to hopefully get a shot on. So if you wanted to go for something other than a secondary build, then you would probably want to swap out the first and the third upgrade slots. So you'd want to go for the main armaments modification 1 and aiming systems modification 1. The third slot is going to be the most important one here, because if you're not relying on secondaries, you're going to want to go for... Generally, you just want your shots to be a lot more accurate, because you're going to be relying on those instead of secondary batteries, so you're going to need to ensure those hit, as that's what you're effectively relying on. And then as for skills, instead of the secondaries, I'd go for a more survival and stealth build. So what I mean by that is you'd go on the lines of something like Adrenaline Rush, Basics of Survivability, Concealment Expert, Fire Prevention, and Emergency Repair Expert. Now, anyway, with all that covered, we are in game. I just wanted to sort of cover that live whilst I was here, and since a lot of the beginning of games is just really travelling across the map anyway, so it would be better just to talk through that and then get straight into the action. Now, unfortunately, we have gone into a tier 4 and 5 game. I was more hoping to get, well, a little bit more up-tiered, with a sense of you could also see how this, I guess, performs when you're going against higher tier ships, but it does seem to be a pretty nice mix of both high and low tier games. Now, if I do have some incredible games, let's say I get like 150k or something in the ship, then I will certainly do a replay of it, but as it stands, I mean, I'm happy just playing live here and showing you how this goes. Now, you're going to see this absolutely amazing fire chance popping off here. Now, you know, I'm going to start turning in because I do want to get some shots off. Now, yeah, you see already you got the fire chance and just 3 of those shots there, because I want to see my secondary batteries in action, and then you'll just see how great they are just even at range. I mean, so 8.3 kilometers, because I am currently running the Mike Yankee Sostix flag, so that gives you a longer range of 5%, as well as gives you a 5% shorter reload and a 5% reduction in dispersion. And here we are, they're already popping off here, and this is going to really help with our damage. We're going to fire some high explosive here as well, just to possibly set an additional fire. Okay, we didn't set a fire, but I think they're going to be... Oh, okay, those torpedoes actually didn't... They did miss there. Now, we're not even full broadside here, because I don't want to giving him too much of an angle to damage us, so it's more the front area of our ship. So just here that's going off. And actually, I've just noticed, we're in trouble. We are in real trouble here. We need to start turning now. Okay, so the closest one is actually this V170, which we're going to focus our fire on. Now, they are definitely going to be dropping... Oh, yeah, okay. V170 is... Yeah, okay, this is quite scary here. Because Ooh, okay. Because the thing is, I believe the V170 is actually... Yeah, you can actually see how great this secondary build is, just for the fact of even ships that are nowhere near... I'm just firing at like this. It's brilliant, but you can see it's just okay. We set a fire there. Is the V170? I believe can fire torpedoes from the front. I think it is. One of my teammates was saying in games yesterday. Okay, the Nicholas is back here. I'm going to focus all my shots here since I've got them on a broadside, and it does appear that they have missed their torpedo strike, which is really good for us. Now I'm going to continue firing. Ooh, okay, we've got to be careful of this Dante Alighieri, but I believe they're firing SAP, so we should be safe. I think, yeah, we do have to be very careful of this guy. We're going to fire before they go unspotted. Oh, we got some really bad dispersion there. I think we're going to take one of these, definitely. Which is no bother. That's fine. And wow, we didn't actually get flooded either. That's really good. Oh, I think, yeah, okay, we are in a bit of a tough spot here. So let's get these off now. Oh, okay. I'm loving this actually. It's just a continual switching round of. Oh, please don't tell me this hill's going to. Nope, he did not. Okay, brilliant. The hill didn't take our kill. That is perfect. I'm loving that. Okay, so we're going to go for the Dante Alighieri, and hopefully this hill will start to spot these. Well, the last destroyer on this side anyway, and then we can start getting back into the cap because we do have the Acosta, which is over there, but they shouldn't be too much of an issue. It appears we missed every single one of our shots there, so that is the one issue sometimes, that you do get games where you just get some pretty poor dispersion, but I guess that is the price to pay. You do have an incredible ship with regards to the... Okay, let's turn into these and maybe get some shots off. I mean, they are open water gunboating, which is perfect for us because it keeps them spotted, and as soon as they commit to a turn like that there, we can fire off and possibly devastate them as well. Ooh, that's looking good. Okay, not as good as I was hoping, but that's fine. I'm happy with that. And we're still sitting with half of our HP too. Well, a little under now. But I think so far we are good. Now, there is the whole show. I do want to take that carrier out as fast as, well, possible, really, because carriers are really going to be the bane of our existence here, because even though it's a tier 4 carrier, if they decide to start hunting us down, we can't do anything, because there is nothing to shoot them. We do have the hill with us, but I mean, I don't think a single destroyer's anti-air is going to be able to do much, especially at this tier. I mean, if you're going with, say, a Halland or a Småland, then yeah, I can totally understand, you know, going with a destroyer for the anti-air. But currently, yeah, it's we need to take them out now. You also saw there that incredible fire chance. We've got that Dante Alighieri with 2 fires, and they haven't put it out for some reason as well, which is rather convenient for us because it's allowing us to just further inflate our damage number. And considering this is a tier 5 game as well, a tier 4 and 5 game, we have managed to get a ridiculous amount of damage here as well, which is brilliant. So I just wish we weren't winning so hard here, because I was hoping we'd have less of a, I guess, stomp so I could showcase this more, but it just generally shows you how much of a good ship this is, because it's just allowing us to, well, we've been able to really knock out these destroyers more than anything. It's been able to just, you know, focus on them, and the secondaries have just been, especially when you actually get the priority sector on them, it's absolutely devastating for them. Now we are going to fire on this Dante Alighieri again, and hopefully get some more fires once we get our entirety ready to fire. We do have yeah, we've got the aircraft carrier over there. We are going to deal with them shortly. And now, ooh, we got really bad dispersion there. Okay, so yeah, that is the one issue. Now we are winning this way too fast, for my liking. As I say, I would like to get a bit more damage in, but I mean, I'm not gonna you know, be disappointed by a win, because at the end of the day, you have stumps like this, and sometimes you get on the other end of these games where you get some pretty awful games where it is just your team completely gets flattened. So it's nice to be on the winning team. Now we're going to try and get some hits on this host show, maybe get some good dispersion there, but we'll have to see if that's the case. Now we have got 3/4. Oh, that was poor. That was really poor there. A single shot landed. Yeah, that's the only thing with this ship, but I mean, as it currently stands, I've got 10 fires, and overall it has been really quite fun. Okay, it has been reset as well, but it looks like the cap's getting continually reset, so if we can possibly get a couple more shots on this host show, we could get a little bit more damage here. But I mean, for a tier 4 and 5 game, I'm not complaining with this damage number. This is a really good amount of damage we've managed to score here, so I'm very happy with that, and we should hopefully come at a decent number on the team, since we have managed to deal with primarily the destroyers, which does give you a really nice amount of... Ooh, okay, we may be able to get a kill here, potentially, so we can just fire these off. We could possibly yoink it. Come on, here we go. No, okay, we did 1,000 damage, but yeah, I don't think, unless these last shots are the kill shots, I don't think we're gonna get it. 100, oh yeah, 100 HP. Either way, I'd say that was an incredibly good game. So that does really showcase just how powerful those secondaries are, and I think the thing to take from this is the fact of those were destroyers I was going for there, and considering those are the most notoriously hard to hit because they are so small, it does wonders when you're going against, say, cruisers and battleships, because there is so much for them to hit. It's just brilliant. Now, I think whilst we're on this end screen, I mean, we'll just quickly take a look on the team score here. Okay, so 3rd place, yeah. I'm quite happy with that. You need to have a report so we can see what we did. So yeah, V170, 1100, 700. Yeah, overall, very, very nice amount of damage there. Now, the thing I'm probably going to say here is, if you are brawling and you have got a choice between 2 ships to fire at, let's say you're brawling with another battleship and they are really close to you, and then you've got, say, another ship which is quite far away, I'd priority target the ship that's quite far away from you. So, because with how secondaries do work in this game, is they will fire at the centre of the ship, so you're going to want worse dispersion at close range, because that means you're going to have a better chance of some of those shells going for, say, the superstructure or something like that. So you're going to have a better chance of them hitting something that they can actually penetrate, because If you go for the better dispersion, everything is going to hit the armour belt or just really well armoured areas of the ship, and that's not going to really help too much when you're at close range. So if you're doing that, you'd rather instead priority target the ship that's far away, so you'll get the passive damage going. You don't even have to pay attention to them. They'll be getting loads of damage done on them, they'll be getting set on fire, etc. And then you can focus a lot of your concentration on the ship that you're actually brawling with and, say, going side on side with. So that's really it for this. As I say, if I have some better games, then I will probably do a replay of it as well. So if you do want that, then let me know in the comments below if you do want to see more gameplay from the Agincourt, because this is a ship that I really enjoy, so I'm going to be playing a lot of this when I do get a chance to. So, just let me know in the comments below, and as well as that, if you have generally just enjoyed this video, then just let me know in the comments below and just drop a like, as it just lets me know that you've enjoyed this video. But with all that said, that is the, I guess, coverage of the Agincourt, and really, I think that's going to be it. So I'm possibly going to be doing some reviews of some other ships in the future as well that are getting released shortly. But as it stands, that's really it. So I do hope you've enjoyed, and as I say, if you did, make sure to leave a like, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. So I'll see you in the next one.